We are back. Before we begin, as I always like to do, I like to bring out a comment that was made in our last video, and I greatly appreciated this comment. I thought it was hilarious. The commenter said, "News at Noonish is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get." And I just laughed. But the end of it was they said, and that's why we like it. And I greatly appreciate that comment. That's a great movie, too, by the way. But it is, you never know what you're going to get. And I think this particular episode is going to be an example of uh, a smorgasbord of information. Many of you have probably already seen this or heard this, or you already knew it. But just recently, it came out and was announced officially by Fulton County, Georgia, which the reason, in my opinion, the reason this is coming out now is because the fact that Harmeet Dillon is suing. Georgia is one of the states that Harmeet Dillon is suing for their voter rolls because they refuse to turn over their voter rolls. I wonder why. And suddenly, in Fulton County, it has been determined that at least 315,000 votes were certified illegally in the 2020 elections. Now, to put that in context, President Trump lost by a little less than 12,000 votes. And he won apparently fraudulently. They say that Biden won Fulton County with 380,212 votes. Not if 315,000 of them were illegal.
All right, so that means only 65,000 of Biden's votes were certifiably legal.
60% of the votes in Fulton County were illegally certified. And this isn't us saying it. This isn't just people saying it. This came out of a Board of Registration and Elections meeting that they held on December 9th, and it was attested to by the Board of Regulation and Elections attorney, Ann Brumbaugh. She made this admission during the meeting, Georgia State Election Board meeting. Now, I know you remember, because we watched this. We were excited about it at the time. The Georgia State legislatures held a meeting right after the elections, and they had people testifying, and they had affidavits, and they had all this stuff, and we're thinking, oh yay, they're going to do something.
But no.
And one of the reasons why is because according to the Constitution, the state legislatures are supposed to be in charge of the elections, but they abdicated their position to secretaries of states, attorney generals, governors, etc., in different states, who took over and said, nope, we're going to do this. And the state legislatures didn't stand up for themselves. I don't know exactly what happened with all that. But the Voter Georgia investigator David Cross testified before the board in a complaint that he had filed in 2022, alleging that vote tabulator tapes were not properly certified and signed off on, violating Georgia law, and paid a lot of money and went through a lot of trouble in order to establish this. And Brumbaugh admitted, we do not dispute that the tapes were not signed. It was a violation of rules. In other words, we're sorry, but we're not going to do anything about it.
And it just happens to come at a time when we're past the 5-year get out of jail free card period.
Yeah, I mean, this is just one more thing. And the same thing happened in Arizona. The same thing happened in where they had all the meetings. They had these testimonies. They had all these, well, look, Tina Peters is still in jail because of this. This in Fulton County, Georgia, is exactly where Fannie Fooney Willis indicted all those people because they were trying to overturn the 2020 elections. Well, of course they were. They were fraudulent.
18 people.
Yeah, they were fraudulent. So of course they were trying to overturn them. I mean, they were trying to rectify it. So there's, it's just now they're coming out with this now, 5 years later now. But like I said, it's probably because of Harmeet Dillon suing them for it. They don't want to turn over their voter rolls. Raffensperger and Brian Kemp are right smack in the middle of all this stuff. Anyway.
And you know that somewhere in the great Obama Central, there are people who made this their field of expertise about how to cheat effectively. And they passed it from Arizona to Georgia, da.
Well, they failed in 2016 to cheat effectively because Hillary lost. So then they had to up their game. They had to increase it. They had to make sure. And, in many counties and cities, etc., more people that are registered to vote voted. You never have 100% of the people vote. 60, 70% of the electorate, people who are eligible to vote usually vote. But some of these places had and nobody said, I wonder why we had 100,000 more people voting in our county than we actually have registered to vote.
Yeah, it was only 105% of the total registered voters.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. That's right. Who cares? Let it go. The person we wanted to win won. So what difference does it make? And in another situation that we have that we all know about, I was shocked to realize I was shocked to realize that Tulsi Gabbard made this huge statement about the fact that they had all of this evidence against Obama and company for the Russia collusion delusion. Now, she didn't just say this. I mean, she did a press conference. She talked about it. She listed names. She had documentation to prove it.
Big sheets of documents.
Yeah. And in my humble opinion, I'm guessing that she turned all of this over to the Department of Justice. She would have had every T crossed, I's dotted. You don't come out with a press conference accusing Barack Obama and company of basically treason if you can't back it up.
Including the former head of the CIA.
Yes.
I mean, he's got resources that normal people don't have.
Right.
To kill you, essentially, or maybe, in fact, if you make those types of pronouncements with evidence.
Yes, it's of course. And so it goes back to Pam Bondi. What are you doing? What's going on at the DOJ? I know there's still a lot of swamp rats there, and I know there's still people who are slow walking, but this is a case the Attorney General of the United States should be involved in personally, making sure that everything is done according to the law.
And if not, then she should be held accountable personally and outed.
Well, yeah, we'll see what happens, I guess. And of course, it's Christmas vacation. And of course, there is a grand jury that's been impaneled in Florida, and we don't know what's going on with that.
Well, lots of times Ron DeSantis has been the only one to actually do the right thing throughout this whole sordid thing.
Well, that's true. Ron DeSantis has, and I guess time will tell.
Well, it's not just DeSantis. He has a good staff. I mean, there are lots of good people in Florida.
Yes, there are. There are lots of good, and they have the whole. Ron DeSantis is very fortunate because everybody, the Attorney General, all of these people. One of the things that I've been happy to see coming out of the Trump administration, speaking of people, is Dr. Bhattacharya is now head of the NIH. So we finally now have a reasonable, intelligent, fair-minded, I don't know what other word you want to use, person.
Reliable, honest.
In head of the NIH, who has put an end to the research lab that had been used to conduct cruel and deadly experiments on beagles. This has been going on for 40 years. They've been doing things that we don't even want to talk about. But Jay Bhattacharya has announced that they are going to end this, and they're going to end some of the other testing that has been going on, but they're doing all these horrible experiments. And I remember watching a video when they announced that they were going to end these terrible things on beagles, where these animal rescue people went in to rescue the beagles, and they brought them out of their crates, and these little beagles were running around the grass. They had never run in grass before, and you could tell they didn't know what it was. They were running around in grass, sniffing it, and they weren't really sure. They were kind of walking funny, and then they started playing with each other and just romping around and having a good time, and it just made you feel so good to see these animals doing this. So I'm happy to see that the government is doing what the government is expecting us to do, which is, it is against the law to be cruel to animals, to abuse them, to use them in these fights, to hurt them in any way. It's illegal in every state, but the states were complaining that they needed more teeth. And so now President Trump has signed into law a anti-animal abuse law, so that people will face up to 7 years in prison for doing some of these things. I personally know a woman who's responsible for what they call Susie's Law in the county where I was living, because she has a beautiful story. If you ever have a chance, Google Susie's Hope, because that's the story of a friend of mine. Her dog's name was Susie, and I won't go into the details, but she managed to get laws passed in her county that help put
What
people
was her
in
last
jail.
name again?
No, it's Susie's Law, and it's Susie's Hope is the name of the movie.
Hope. I thought you said cope.
No.
Okay.
Susie's Hope. And Susie, the dog, has passed away not too long ago, but it's a heartwarming story, and it's true story. And I know the person to whom for whom it is true. I know her. So there's the law was passed just recently to give, I think, more teeth to the states, because now it's a federal law, and President Trump just signed it. I know that Lara and Eric Trump have rescued their dogs. They have, I think, 2 or 3 dogs that they've rescued. And people wonder why President Trump doesn't have a pet. He has allergies. And
We've rescued all of our animals.
Yeah.
Some commenter says, SkySurf says, maybe we need Judge Jeanine as U.S. Attorney General. Yeah, think?
Well, yeah.
We need some butt kicking there, and I don't think the current resident is capable of that. I don't know why, but it's obvious. Well,
Judge Jeanine or Sidney Powell, or, I mean, there are any number of people that I think have a stronger. Judge Jeanine is a very small woman. You know, she's T90. And in other news, a lot related to animals, Amazon has had to apologize after a third-party delivery driver was caught on a home security video. And they say allegedly. Well, it's not alleged. I guess they have to say that
evidence.
They have visual evidence caught stealing the customer's cat. The cat was outside, and the driver that came to deliver a package picked the cat up by the scruff of the neck and put it in his vehicle and rode off with it. It happened on December 11th. In this report, the owner is saying, "Thank you for the apology, but I'd really like to have my cat back."
Yeah, that was according to a story in KTLA, which of course is a Los Angeles television station. So it was in a Los Angeles suburb.
Yeah, it just, and here's, hey, Jeff Bezos, you've got plenty of money. Hire somebody to go find this cat and return the cat. Apologies are just words. Go get the cat. Or
cat returned. We'll do the story.
Yeah, that's right.
Guaranteed.
Yeah. In any case, it's like all about pets. But that brings us to our surprising announcement that we said that we would have. And that is that Bill and I, most of our animals came from animal shelters. Molly and Bella came from breeders, but most of our animals, our Joy, our Border Collie, and our 3 cats all came from animal shelters. One of them, our cat came from the county shelter. In any case, we really believe in rescuing pets, and we know that this is Christmas time. And we know that a lot of people, their children want a puppy for Christmas, and I think that's fine. But I would encourage anybody who is interested in getting a puppy for your child for Christmas. There are puppies in shelters. Puppies that a breeder that breeds a particular breeds of puppies, they don't have a problem selling their dogs. That's not an issue. But you can find wonderful puppies in shelters, and a lot of times the puppies were actually born in the shelter because the mother was a stray or whatever, or the puppies were found soon after they were born and brought into the shelter. And so they've had all the care, they've had their shots, they have vets that take care of them. And I would encourage anybody to go to a shelter to find your child a wonderful puppy. Rescue animals are wonderful. Sometimes they take a little patience, but so does everything else, right?
Yeah, you've taken a lot of patience. Or I guess you've been patient, one or the other.
Whatever. In any case, we really strongly encourage that. And one of the things I wanted to say, because I see these all the time, they're not very expensive. They might be $100 to $250 at a shelter or whatever. You might not need another pet yourself, or you might not want another pet. And maybe you have the ability to pay for somebody else. You can pay the adoption fee on a pet. And if somebody adopts that pet, then they won't have to pay the adoption fee. And I can tell you, as a single parent, when I wanted a pet for my children, that made a huge difference, because sometimes that adoption fee can be just a stumbling block. And so that's a way that and they're very careful about, they don't just, give the dog or cat to anybody. They're very careful about the placement of the animal, but that's one way you can do that. Or donate. Our dogs are picky eaters, so sometimes we buy dog food and I donate the dog food to a local shelter. But getting to our surprise announcement,
yeah,
I guess, because we feel very strongly about animals and rescues, etc. We have thought that maybe some of you have rescued a dog or cat or pet of any kind, and maybe you have a heartwarming story about that pet, about something that happened, and you would like to share it with us. Well, or your children might want to share about their dog or their cat or rabbit or whatever. We don't care. So if you have a heartwarming personal story that you would like to share, write it up as best you can and email it to thestillreport@gmail.com. That's thestillreport@gmail.com. And we will as time allows, we will choose some, 1, 2, or whatever, and read the story
Yeah,
on air.
we'll read them between now and the end of the year, at least.
And we will only read a person's first name and last initial. We're not going to read people's full names on a live stream. But we just thought it might be between now and the end of the year that we can do this, because there are some beautiful stories about rescues and animals and people, especially with children. So so I think that was there something else that
No, I'm just happy as I can be that Beth rescued me.
he was free at the shelter.
Please.
I mean, really, look at the hair. Anyway, we are going to say, God bless President Trump. God bless Dr. Bhattacharya. Thank you, Jesus, for him being the head of the NIH. Ugh. God bless all of you, and thank you.
Yeah, and I'm going to be releasing an autobiographical series of little reports, starting soon, maybe tomorrow. Don't know.
Well, you did the one. You did the video.
I've done about.
No, well, you did the video just the other day. If you didn't catch the video on his summer job,
Right.
that was just 2 days ago that he did that video. It's actually quite interesting. Something he did in his youth. So I won't give it away. I just want you to watch the video.
Well, that's up, isn't it?
Yeah, it was
Okay,
up 2
yeah.
days ago. So are there any comments? Any comments that you
Rescue animals are precious, says Karen Untz. God bless you both.
You have to go. Yeah. Yes, they are. And if you have a story about one, thestillreport@gmail.com.
Thank you.